gather here today to celebrate the life of Debra Morrison. For those who may not know me, I'm one of her daughter-in-laws, Angel, or as she liked to call me, her Angel. I had the privilege of knowing Mom for 21 years. In those years, we grew very close, and I got to know her well. She had an amazing strength to her that at times came off as, well, stubbornness. After all, she was a Taurus. In the last 2 months, she used that strength and amazed us. There were several times we did not think she would make it, and then she would. She was never content to be in the hospital, and usually everyone that walked in her room would know that. I worried so much when she didn't care about the treatment they were doing, and she had no fight in her. The last hospitalization she had filled us with such a roller coaster of emotion. She became her feisty self, which relieved us, but also we knew treatment was going to be harder. One day, she told Mike that she kicked the doctor and his fear factor out of her room. To our surprise, the doctor confirmed that indeed, she told him to get out. She was done with him. In the end, she was able to help decide the path her medical treatment would go and what her priorities were. She had many struggles and hardships in her life, and for so very long was misunderstood by so many. She was not diagnosed until recent years with a mental illness that caused a strain in her relationships she had throughout her life. Her situation taught me to have more compassion and open-mindedness for others, as I truly don't know what another may be struggling with daily. Recently, when I spoke to her, she told me someone at the hospital mentioned to her that she was crazy. I let her know, it's okay, I'm crazy, and perfectly happy with my crazy. It makes me who I am. I saw the weight fall off her shoulders as she smiled and nodded and realized I was right. Who cares what others say? From a young age, she learned about grief and continued to have big losses in her life. As the years went by, when she was 2, her first brother passed away before birth. She was 21 years old when her son's dad suddenly passed away, leaving her to raise their 2-year-old alone. Less than 2 years later, her little brother Bill was murdered. Her parents were both only 62 when they passed away. In 2017, she lost her baby brother Rick. He was only 57. She outlived her whole family. Mike and I often speculated if she would outlive us as well. I'm comforted to know she's with her parents, grandparents, and her baby brothers. I'm confident that my dad, as she called him, her best friend Papa's, was there at the gates waiting to greet her. She loved them all so much. Again, I tribute to her stubbornness that despite her wild and carefree lifestyle, she somehow lived longer than her parents and all 3 brothers. She battled addiction in her life and won. She was sober what would have been 20 years, coming up in February. She was able to quit smoking 13 years ago, which we never thought was possible. We were so proud and grateful, as that definitely bought her more time here with us. She loved her sons unconditionally and would do anything she possibly could for them, even when she shouldn't. They truly were the light of her life. Looking at pictures, you could see her love and pride shining through when she looked at her boys. Being a mom was what brought her most joy in life. She often took her son's friends or girlfriends under her wing as if they were her own. As a teen, Mike brought home Mom's first daughter, Kissy, or as we know her, Christina. As if 2 boys were not hard enough, she now had Christina. I won't share with you today the stories I've heard, but that over the years, she got to watch both Mike and Christina grow up to be the amazing adults they are today. Mike brought home Mom's favorite daughter, me, in 2003. It was special for me as I got a second chance at having a mom as my mom passed when I was a child. I'll cherish her motherly advice that I often would like a true daughter roll my eyes at. I'll cherish the times we would shop together, just her and I. The private talks, the looks we would give each other, and then just laugh. I will miss the way she would look at me with so much love. I will miss how easily she could make us all laugh, even when she wasn't trying. I never thought I would say this, but I'll also miss her stories. She loved all her grandbabies, no matter the situation or if they were blood-related or not. One of my favorite memories of her with my girls was the evening she came over to visit us. She proceeded to get in a conversation with them about swag. She mentioned having a lot of swag and even demonstrated to them her swag walk. We will forever remember how to walk with swag. Marina will demonstrate at the end. Grief and loss are so hard. Take time when needed to feel that sadness, but also take with you the good memories and enjoy replaying them as you smile and laugh. Mom loved music and dancing. She enjoyed making art. She was so creative and also was left-handed. She knew sign language. She cherished her friendships and good company. She loved to eat. In recent years, we would invite her to come over for something and ask what time should we pick her up. She would say, well, when will the food be ready? She enjoyed gardening and was very good at growing trees. She loved fashion and clothes and always had way too many clothes. She loved jewelry, especially turquoise and pearls. She loved to drive and travel. She loved her beauty sleep and living life up. Though our hearts are heavy, we remember Mom with love and laughter. We will take time to decide on and find Mom's final resting place, and we'll announce that at a later date. Thank you all for loving her and being here today.
I have no idea. I didn't prepare anything. I have no idea how I can compare with Angels. You know, she spent a lot of time and preparing, and I don't do that. So I have no idea what I'm going to say. But, you know, I was thinking about Mom, and at her hospital stay, she wasn't able to speak. She wasn't able to communicate with some of the doctors and nurses. And I was truly amazed when I went in to visit her, and she started doing sign language. And I thought, you know, she's been through multiple intubations. She's been through all of this stuff in her life and through the last 2 months, and here she is sign languaging to communicate. And I don't know, that just kind of stuck with me. It made me realize that maybe there was some hope. Maybe, you know, she could come out of this, or she would be okay. And sadly, you know, she wasn't. She passed away, and I don't know. I want to be the big brother, you know, to Johnny. I saw him yesterday, and he was pretty upset, and he still is. And I love you, Johnny, to death. And I want to be there for you. I love Mom, and I miss her. And thank you guys for being here. She did all the work.
Well, in celebration of Debbie's love of music, the family has decided that we're going to sing a hymn together, and that would be Amazing Grace. If you find in your pamphlets, the song lyrics will be there, and I'll be happy to lead you in that song. I can lead it, but you have to deal with my singing. Do you have lyrics, or do you need some? What? Oh, you would like to lead it? Oh, absolutely. Oh,
You're going to go right after.
oh yeah, we're going to have just so everybody knows, we're going to have a time of sharing where people can come up and share their memories about Debbie and a time to share those interesting things that we have.
You're listed there.
I think Christina has her own slot. So you're going to lead the song? No. Okay. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to feel, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. 'Twas grace that brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home, and grace will lead us home.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Great. Thank you. Okay, and now we're going to have time for those who have personal comments, stories you'd like to share. I know that Christina has some things that she'd like to share, and so we're going to open up that time now, and I believe Christina is going to lead us in that.
Okay, I didn't write a bunch. I just put a lot of thoughts down. I feel a little bit better now. Grandma was told if ever a girl were to come to the door, for her to love her as her own. And that's exactly what she did. I can't even see through my heart. from when I first came over there, and I left because it wasn't actually when I first came over there because I was drunk and I was sent home. She didn't see me. But from the first day that she met me, she took me in with loving arms and took me in like as her daughter. She accepted and cherished me as her own. She raised me and taught me so much, certain things about being a woman and all that came with it. My parents loved and accepted her and even let me be with her, stay with her. She went through tough love, and that's all it took. My parents were really involved in tough love. I don't know, it's a support group for parents with unruly kids. But that's just how she was. She was mom. She was mom to me and to everybody else that came to her door, all our friends. She welcomed all of us. She was there for all of us. She did whatever she could for us, and she ran around town doing everything that we wanted her to. She did everything for us. Mom, grandma, she was everything to all of us. Had quite the amount. This is where I kind of cut off, and I'll kind of went with what, Mom had quite the imagination. We all loved her stories. Sometimes we would, I think we dealt with them in different ways. Either we'd try to call her on some of the crazy stories that she told. And sometimes, we just kind of went along with them. And sometimes these crazy stories were true.
Yeah.
Some of these crazy stories, I would always think like maybe some of these are true. So I'll share one story. She would tell me about when she was a kid, she would go off to Arizona. Her parents would send her to Arizona. First, I always wondered that. This was, her parents weren't around at this time. But I was like, where would you go to Arizona? But she would say she would spend the summer there. And so my dad's in Arizona. We would visit my dad a lot. So I'm like, well, let's take her. She would share about Skull Valley. She would share about a museum that was there. Well, either way, I wanted to take her. I wanted to visit the city that she was talking about in the museum. I had never been there. So we took her there, and Pat stayed home with the kids at my dad's, and I took her to Skull Valley. Interesting enough, there was a museum there. It's a really, really old town. There was like a small little building, probably like this size. It was the size of the museum. It was a gas station, and across the street there was an antique store, and then there was this dirt road, and railroad tracks, and a little house here and a little house here. And she was telling me about the houses here and the people who lived here, and I'm like, well, let's go down memory lane. I still wasn't sure if this was true or not. We drove down the dirt road, and then we turned around. She was telling me about the houses, and there was the kid, I don't remember how old he was, but he was riding his bike down the dirt road and through the little railroad tracks, and we decided to stop and talk to him. I go, Mom, you need to talk to him. Maybe he knows, or maybe, whatever, And in the conversation that they were saying, they were talking about, this guy. Before this, she had told me about this boy that she, her boyfriend, during this time when she would go down there in the summer, he didn't have an arm. He lost his arm. I don't remember where she said he lost his arm, so that was like another crazy detail that I was like, whoa, okay, that's weird. And so in talking in this, we're talking with this boy had said, when she said that he didn't have an arm, that boy said, that's my great uncle. And I was like, what? And at that time, I called Mike and Angel right away. I'm like, dude, you guys got to hear this. We just ran into this kid, and this kid is saying that he's the great nephew of the boy that your mom was talking about. And with that conversation, they were able to get in contact, and she was able to talk with one of her old childhood loves. And it was just really good. Some of the stories she told, you never knew what to believe. You kind of have to pick and choose and, run with it or not. But, a lot of her stories were true, Like Angel said, we'll miss her stories. Some of it caused a lot of chaos, and some of it was, just a lot of interesting to hear and fun times when we were young. All the crazy stuff that came with those stories and stuff. But, I don't know, just like Angel said, she was there for all of us. She was mom. She took in everybody. She had love for everybody. Blood or not blood,
Criminal or not foolish.
Criminal, not criminal. Yeah, she loved us all. But I just want to leave with, thankfully, Lynn had mentioned this, that she's with her brothers. She's with her dad, her mom, Craig, Papa Patrick. That helps me to think that, I know how much love she had for them. So much love, so much love. And she's welcomed by them.
And her parents.
And her parents, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Her mom, her dad, and brothers, and Craig, and anyways. I know that's all I got. I just wanted to share this story. Not all our stories were crazy. I mean, all our stories were crazy. Not all of them were not untrue. You could say anything.
I don't know. I don't know what to. I don't.
Johnny, she loved you
I don't know
so
what to say.
much.
I'm like lost right now with words because, I wasn't expecting this at all, and it hit me the hardest because like just seeing her there in the casket. I don't know. One thing she taught me was how to really love, what love was. I'll give her that. She was a really strong woman, like the strongest woman I've ever came across my whole life. She would give up anything for anybody. And it didn't matter what I did. She never like looked at me like, oh yeah, you're this or you're that. She always loved me to the fullest, and it didn't
Right.
matter. You know what I mean? I don't know. I have nothing really to say except for that. I mean, the world's gonna miss a good woman. I'll tell you that. I don't know.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Now, there is a time, if anybody else would like to come forward, and we can take a few minutes. Sometimes I know it's hard to get the courage up to come forward, but there is a time. The microphone is open for anybody who would like to come forward and share any memories or just anything you'd like to say to the family or anything that you have to offer. There's time for that.
I'm the grandson. Thank you.
Sorry.
You're good. I'm the grandson. This is my first funeral that I've attended. I had, like my dad, I didn't plan anything, like father, like son, I guess. But my grandmother from my mom's side passed away 7 years ago. That was devastating. This is not as devastating as much, but it still is emotional, I guess. Basically, all I want to say is all the memories I have of my grandma is her smiling, laughing, and being happy. So in memory of her, I will just be happy for the rest of my life, and I will just choose to be happy. That's what I would want to tell everybody here. Because, yeah, death happens, but we carry them on in our hearts and our minds and our whatever. She'll live on with me, and I will carry on her memory as best as I can, and she was always happy, so I'll always be happy.
Singing and dancing.
Yeah, basically. I wish I knew this with my first grandma's death, because that was completely different. But now, yeah, pretty easy to just be grateful. And I think it you said it earlier, you guys were expecting grandma to outlive you guys?
That was Angel.
Oh, Angel, yeah.
That would be
Yeah. Well,
then she,
no. I don't know. No, but I think it would have been a strategy if her kids passed on before her. This is the way that humanity has grown forever. The parent passes away, the kids grows up, and it's a cycle of life. So just be happy, be grateful that she's been around. Yeah, and
what she wanted to do.
she stayed on this earth for a long time, and that's impressive, and that's amazing. So, yeah, that's it.
This is Jalen. She's Johnny's daughter. She wanted to share her last happy memory she has with her grandma. What was it?
At the park.
At the park. You guys always met with us. You always got to see her at the park, huh? She was always happy, huh? She was always nice. Remember? Yeah? And that's what you'll remember her too, just like Mike's son, huh? That she was always happy, and that's what you'll take from it, right? Yeah? Anything else? I said it all? I could read her mind.
Okay, if there isn't anybody else that would like to come forward, we can move on. I believe we're going to have some words of encouragement from me. And, usually sometimes I find I have to encourage the family to redirect their thoughts out of mourning and focusing on death and the missing of people. But I don't have that problem here today, obviously. I've come to celebrate her life. So I'm just going to sit down. No, I'm just kidding. That will mean that maybe some of my remarks are outdated or unneeded. But I do want to say that I do know, my wife and I in our church do know Debbie personally. We do know Angel and Mike personally from a long time ago, and we had a chance to reconnect with them. And we've met some of you at family functions, and that it's just an honor for us to be here. I try not to be nervous. Of course, you're always nervous when you're supposed to, serve a family or represent the family. But I can honestly say that the words I'm going to say here today are just, they're derived from my conversations with the family, first and foremost, and then secondly from our interactions with her, and just taking time and discussing them with Mike and Angel, taking time and discussing them with my wife and the people that from our church that served her, and then meditating on the actual interactions that we had with her and the impressions that were left. And they were pretty strong, to be honest. I don't want to cry here today, but we did cry at home. And so without much, Mike did give me some scriptures before I sat down to write, and he said, hey, maybe these could be used. So I used them, and I did what you asked me to do, and I told a story, and it's funny that they fit like a glove for the story of her life. And so let's a short, just, I know it's not the story of her life, but a little encapsulation. So we've come here together. Today we're gathered as Debbie's family and friends. And of course, the most important thing about Debbie's life was that she was a mother, and that she was a grandmother, and that she was a friend to all of us. And that's the most important mark that she has. And as we've heard this morning, she left a mark on people's life that bring about a smile, that bring about good memories, and she left a positive mark wherever she went. I know that in times like this, we usually all have heavy hearts because we're mourning her death and we're all going to miss her. These people that we love and we have in our life, they fill this area in our life. They fill up these moments in our life, and they give us all these good feelings and memories and times that we spend with them. And what we actually mourn is that space is voided, and they're not here with us anymore. And so the death causes us to mourn. But I think that God would have us to shift our perspective from not what we'll be missing, but what we had. And then, where is she today? What's happened to her? And the graduation from her loving family's arms into the arms of God. We do miss her. We are left behind. She will leave that void, and I don't want to cheapen that or downplay that in any way. But I think that we should shift our thoughts towards the gift that she had, the mark that she left on the world, and where she'll be going today. And so it's difficult for us, in speaking with the family, to talk about Debbie's life without us also talking about the God that created her and gave her life, and who in times of need, she put her hopes in and put all her trust in God. And why is that? Because it's true that for many of us, and a lot of us I know personally, so I know this is true, and I know that this is true for Debbie as well, that many of us in this world and in this life, we face trials. We face difficulties. We face afflictions. We face abuse from others. We face being misunderstood. We face a lack of the world coming together to support us and love us rather than judge us and push us to the side. And at times, all of us can feel left out in the cold. And I'm sure from learning about Debbie's life that there were times in her life that she did feel left out in the cold by the world. But she didn't feel that from you, and she didn't feel that from us. And she most certainly didn't feel that from God. Mike shares with me that although Debbie wasn't a go-to-Mass every Sunday morning type of Christian, she wasn't a you need to worship God in this way type of Christian. She was the most important type of Christian, where we love God with all of our heart, soul, strength, and mind. And then we love our neighbors as ourselves. And her life was orientated towards God, family, and others, right? That, to me, and I have to admit, I'm a Bible teacher, and I'm a minister, and I'm a pastor. But that is the perfect expression of Christianity, over and above any theology that we might have. Your theology may be wrong, but if you get that right, the problem is solved. So we're going to celebrate her today, and we're going to tell a story of the moments in her life where her life and her relationship with the God that we can't see but we're sure that he lives came true in her life. So it's true that she did face afflictions, and I did get the sense from her story that the world had at times left her out in the cold. Debbie didn't find refuge and comfort in this world. She found refuge and comfort in God and her family. At times, it seems, with the abuse from others, with people's characterization of her, that she could feel battered and left out in the cold. But although this is part of her story, and just like it's probably part of a lot of our story, that isn't the encapsulation of the story. It isn't the end of the story. And there are other chapters and other endings that were written and that are true and that are the true meaning of the story. Debbie's story and the ultimate chapter written is a story of triumph and victory. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 3 and 4, it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted, Debbie understood her need for God, and she received that. And when she mourned over the situations in her life or the afflictions that she had, she received comfort. As Debbie's family started to grow, Debbie did turn towards God for healing and for relief. She addressed her hurts. She addressed her hang-ups. She became a leader to other women. And she found the strength in God to live a happy, fruitful life, rearing up her children and being the matriarch of a beautiful family that was taught about love and staying together. And so in her time of need, she turned towards God, and she was comforted. And she did receive refuge from God. Later in so that's the Debbie that we want to celebrate today. That's the part of her story that we want to celebrate today. She took what was given to her in this life and didn't wait for someone to owe her something. She picked up herself and lived the best life that she could and made something great about that. And that's a woman that is of triumph and victory, no matter what the circumstances were. And that's the woman that we want to celebrate today. Later on, Psalm chapter 23, verse 1 through 3 says, "The Lord is my shepherd. I have what I need. He lets me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He renews my life. He leads me along the right path for his name's sake." And as Debbie did address the hang-ups in her life, as Debbie did address the traumas in her life, as she did begin to stabilize and take her position as the head of the family, the Lord did that for her. He did bring her to quiet waters. He did lead her to peace and stability in her life. And we're grateful for that. And it was later on in her life that my wife in our church had an opportunity to reconnect with Debbie, to reconnect with Angel, to reconnect with Mike, and to meet the family, and to get to witness the type of family that you guys are. We started to have the opportunity to serve her and be friends with her. And by that time, the woman that we met was quite powerful. She was powerful. And I want to explain how that is. She was a woman that through her simplicity and through her sincerity, I think of that picture that we have on the beginning. You can see it in her eyes. She was a woman that through her simplicity and her sincerity, who through her quiet, gentle strength, made you love her and respect her. When people met her, whether it was telling stories or not, she commanded their love and respect, and they appreciated her. I remember the people from our church would come home going, we'd say, "Hey, did you get a chance to do what you were supposed to do for her?" "Oh yeah, she's great." And they just never stopped having enough to say about her. And that's what her presence commanded from others, regardless of any afflictions or stories or what anybody else might have said. That was the woman that we and her family experienced. Debbie had become a woman of triumph, power, and victory. In John chapter 14, verse 1 through 3, it says, "Don't let your heart be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you that I'm going to..." Oh, I'm sorry, my glasses. "In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you? If I go away and prepare a place for you, I will come again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you may be also." The last time that my wife got an opportunity to see Debbie, she was in hospice and she was unable to eat. I was told that she was in hospice. My wife was told that she was in hospice, and so we thought we need to go see her. When we got there, I personally was amazed at how peaceful and calm she looked. She was smiling, we were laughing, we were talking, and that wasn't what I thought I was going to see. That's not what I thought I was going to see. I could see that her body, her legs and her arms were growing weary. I could see that. But her smile and her spirit seemed very strong. And it must have been, because as I hear, she gave the doctor the boot sometime shortly thereafter. Hey, she was in charge of her life. And thank God that she was. Because by the end of it, it was the best life that she could have lived. So I give her credit for that. Her spirit seemed strong. Her smile was strong. And she seemed to have no fears or no doubts. Even considering what may lie ahead. This week, as I played and thought about the conversations with our family and with your family regarding Debbie, I thought about that moment, and I realized as I was just meditating and thinking about the look on her face as my wife and I sat there, and then I got down sat next to Debbie, and we prayed a long time for her and for her family, and that smile on her face and that peace in her face, and I realized what I saw in her. And it's true. And it says it in the scripture, and I saw it in her face. I saw the peace of Christ ruling in her heart. There are people in this world, when you meet them, you see Jesus. The Bible teaches us that Jesus is alive, that we're his hands and feet, that he's living in this world. And that's what he does. Through who? Through people like her and others. And I saw that in her, Christ ruling in her heart. Romans chapter 8, verse 28 says that we know that God works all things together for good, for those who love God, who are called according to his purpose. For those who he foreknew, he also predestined to be conformed into the image of his Son. What did we just say? We saw his Son in her. So that he would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And those he predestined, he also called. And those who called, he also justified. And those he justified, he also glorified. And so, although, as Johnny said, Debbie's remains are here with us. Her remains are here with us. But just as we surely know, God has taken her up in glory to that place that we read about when we first opened up this morning in Revelation chapter 22. And so her physical body is the vessel that God gave her to transverse and traverse this life in this world. And ultimately, just like all of our bodies, they will grow weary and they will expire. But Debbie, who she really is alive and she is eternal. And she has been raised up in glory, and now she fully knows God. She fully knows, just as he has always fully known her. So let's pray. Father God, we thank you this morning for the truth of your scripture. We thank you that we have a quiet, humble woman who, when we think about the universe and all that it entails, can leave such an impact on people's lives and can lead a family from one generation to the next and provide a blueprint and an outline for how we're to love each other, draw together in love and in moments of relationship and teach us that we need each other in this life. And so I just pray a blessing over Debbie's family, that they would continue in the spirit of her love and gentleness and humility, that they would press into you, that they would remember that loving God with all of their heart, soul, strength, and mind, and then loving their neighbor as themselves is the perfect life. And so from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you today for the gift of Debbie, for the spirit that you put in her, the transformation that you walked her through, and we are forever grateful for that. And it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So at this time, we are going to, because of some copyright restrictions, we're going to turn off the live streaming portions of the event, but we will continue with the tribute video. for those who are online watching the posted streaming event, that tribute video will be posted on social media afterwards. But at this time, the streaming will shut down, but we will continue with the tribute video.